Chance to shed light on a very serious issue.
Yeah, statistics show about 1 in 10 children will be sexually abused before their 18th birthday. Mike Avery sat down with the Children's Advocacy Center of Kent County to see how they're fighting for kids right here in West Michigan.
When school started, again, we saw our cases increase. More cases in some of our months this fall than we have had in years, whether that's a backlog from things not getting called in right away, or more cases were happening while kids were at home. We haven't really figured that out yet.
While many things in our world paused or shut down due to the coronavirus pandemic, sadly, child abuse did not.
If abuse is happening in the home, the children usually aren't able to tell somebody in their home what's happening. And so they would often be talking to teachers about it or friends if they were older.
Sarah Zeitemay is the program director at the Children's Advocacy Center of Kent County. They spend all their time helping children as young as 5 to teenagers as old as 18 survive their abuse.
So they meet our forensic interviewer here, who's very well trained in talking to children, and the rest of the team will watch through like a one-way mirror or through cameras, and then can ask follow-up questions to the interviewer. But then that child only has to tell their story one time. And then we can follow up with any other kind of services, therapy, advocacy, support through the court process. And that child has been here. They know who we are. It's a child-friendly environment. This is the place where everybody comes and kind of surrounds the child through that journey of disclosure and healing.
Samantha Ackerman is the clinical supervisor at the center. She sees the kids in a one-on-one setting, which, as you can imagine, is not easy.
It is a tough job, but it's such an honor to think about what these children have been through and what their families have been through, and then to think about that they trust you and they feel comfortable with you and they let you walk that journey with them. Clients coming in who feel that they have a safe space to come to is to know that we can provide that and you can be that person to them. That means everything.
The number of kids who report sexual abuse across the country is startling. Researchers at the nonprofit Darkness to Light estimate that 38% of child victims report their abuse that is absolutely real.
If kids are disclosing sexual abuse, it's very rare that they're making false allegations.
In fact, according to Darkness to Light, it's estimated that only 4 to 8% of child sexual abuse reports are fabricated. Sarah says she is seeing the same thing here in Kent County.
I've been doing this for over 5 years, and we've maybe had 1 or 2 kids where they've made a disclosure and then we realized it wasn't the truth. It just doesn't happen.
But what does happen at the Advocacy Center is healing.
A lot of times, children are much more resilient than adults. We honor what they've been through and we support them and we validate their feelings and we talk to them about, this isn't going to define you. This will always be part of your life, but it's not going to define your life.
Samantha also says parents can help their kids by communicating with them without judgment.
I think it's important to talk to your children. It's never too early to give them the language, to talk about their body, to use the right terms for your body parts, and to always believe your children. Tell them, when you tell me, whatever you tell me, I'm going to believe you. You start laying that foundation of communication and just open dialogue, and then if something does happen, your child will come to you.
In Kent County, Mike Avery, Fox 17 News.
Now, the Children's Advocacy Center of Kent County is just one of the many organizations that works with victims in these kinds of cases.
Joining us to tell us more is Misty DeVries. She's Prevention and Outreach Director at the Children's Advocacy Center in Kent County. Good morning to you. I want to start with the developmental challenges that a child will develop after being abused and how that affects them throughout their adulthood.
Yeah, so children who experience trauma are set up without services, are set up for a lifetime of, PTSD, depression, anxiety. It could be obesity or heart disease. So the more that we can help these children through their trauma, the better life they're going to have. So it's really important to make sure that we're recognizing when something is going on.
Absolutely. And for parents who, maybe struggle with just getting the conversation started, I know in that piece, we talked about, talking about the different body parts and things like that. And I think sometimes for parents, it may be hard to know, how do I go about doing that? Or what's the right thing to say? Or am I going to say the wrong thing? So what advice do you have?
Start those conversations early. We can't say that enough. It's okay to talk about body parts, private parts. It's just like, we wear a helmet to keep our head safe if we have an accident. We wear seatbelts to keep ourselves safe. just like that, in that sense, you know, we know our body parts. So if somebody touches our body parts, we can keep ourselves safe by telling a safe adult. It's just an important piece of that puzzle when it comes to young children, and just having that knowledge and that basic verbiage so they can, you know, tell somebody if something were to happen to them. So those conversations can be difficult, but they need to be happening. This shouldn't be a taboo topic. The more we normalize it, the better it will be in the long run for these children.
Now, Misty, what are some telltale signs for parents who are maybe seeing trying to observe this abuse in a child? Maybe they're harbingering some of these all of this baggage that comes with being abused. What are the warning signs to look out for, and then when should you initiate that conversation?
So that can look really different in all children. Some children don't exhibit any signs. A lot of times too, we see children who were, you know, once outgoing, active, wanted to hang out with their friends. They may now be very introverted and they don't want to hang out with anyone. They want to be left alone. It could be that they are now overtly sexual, or they may be very passive and they don't want to do anything. They want to be left alone. It could be that they're in their rooms quietly all the time. It looks very different for every child. And like I said, some children may not exhibit any signs. But if you're noticing that a child's behavior is changing, or that they seem very different, they're very quiet, it's really important to open that door to that conversation and just let them know, you know, I noticed you seem a little off or a little different. I just want you to know that you can talk to me about anything. I'm going to believe you. You're not going to be in trouble, and I'm going to get you the help that you need.
Well, we appreciate your time this morning, and I know we're going to continue this conversation throughout the show. And then also on Facebook after the show, we will be hosting a Facebook Live that will happen at about 9:30 this morning. You can join that panel discussion with other experts in West Michigan. We also have a story posted for you right now on fox17online.com.
The time now is